It is 5:30. I'm going to call to order the regular City Council meeting of the City of International Falls for Monday, August 17th. Minnesota Statute 13D.021 allows the meeting to be conducted by phone or other electronic means under the following conditions. The mayor has determined an in-person meeting or meeting conducted under Section 13D.02 is not practical due to a health pandemic. All councilors and the mayor participating in the meeting can hear one another and all can hear the discussion. Attendance by the public is not feasible due to a health pandemic. At least one member of the City Council is physically present during the meeting unless it's unfeasible to do to the health pandemic. All votes will be conducted by a roll call vote so each member can be identified and recorded. As you can see, we have Councilor Kraus is in by Zoom, so he will be casting his vote in his normal seat, so it will be going Councilor Deitch, then Councilor Briggs once he gets appointed, Councilor Kraus, Councilor Buller, and then myself. So we will try to keep that. If there is a delay, we will do Councilor Kraus last. The first item on the agenda is to do the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, we next we'll have the approval of the agenda with any additions. As you can see, there is an additional Airport Commission accounts claim for monies coming in. Item number 3 under old business is the resolution for the Vacation Commission's report for damages and assessment to Petition. And number 4, to approve the developers agreement between Northern Border Investment, LLC, and the City of International Falls. Chair would entertain a motion to accept the agenda with the additions.
So move.
We have a motion by Councilor Deitch. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by Councilor Buller. Any discussion? Questions, concerns?
Aye.
Hearing none, I'll call the question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Aye.
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 And I'll vote yes. Motion carries 4-0. Next, we have the minutes of the regular City Council meeting from August 3rd, 2020. Chair would entertain a motion to accept those minutes.
I'll move.
We have a motion by Councilor Buller. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Councilor Deitch. Any discussion? Hearing none, call the question.
Aye.
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 And I'll vote yes. Motion carries 4-0. Next, we have the special City Council meeting for August 10th, 2020. Chair would entertain a motion to accept those minutes.
So move.
We have a motion by Councilor Buller. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Councilor Deitch. Discussion. Hearing none, call the question.
Aye.
Abstain.
Aye.
And I'll vote yes. Motion carries 3 for the motion, 0 against the motion, and 1 abstention. Next, we have the City Council, the special City Council minutes from August 13th, 2020. Chair would entertain a motion to accept those minutes.
So move.
We have a motion by Councilor Deitch. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by Councilor Buller. Discussion. Hearing none, call the question.
Aye.
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 And I'll vote yes. Motion carries 4-0. Next, we go to the payments of claims with the addition as outlined from our agenda, or our, I'm sorry, not our agenda, our motion. So we have the transfers, City of International Falls transfers to the water fund, from 101, the general fund, $9,000,000 $9,951.67. Coming from the water fund, $5,559.67, and coming from the 603 sewer, $4,392 even. Going to the 401, the permanent improvement fund, $66,666.66. That'll be split between the 601 water and the 603 sewer in even amounts of $33,333.33. Going to the 403 capital reserve for outlay, $25,760.42. That will be going from the 601 water, $19,136.17, and going from Fund 603 sewer in the amount of $6,624.25 for total transfers of $102,378.76. Accounts payable, regular City of International Falls claims, $529,557.22. Airport commission claims in the amount of $5,773.36. We are adding the airport commission claims, the county and city reimbursement of $2,371,226.65, and then our library board claims of $9,603.50 for a total accounts payable and claims of $2,916,160.73. Chair would entertain a motion to adopt the resolution for the payments and claims.
So moved.
We have a motion by Councilor Kraus. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Councilor Deitch. Discussion, questions, concerns?
Mr. Mayor, could you explain the $2 million from the report?
Yep, absolutely. Actually, I'll pass that to Ken. The $2,371,000 ultimately is being sent to the city for reimbursement back to the city and the county. But Ken, if you want to give a background of why that's happening.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mayor. Council, the amount that was questioned was the $2,371,226.65. And the Airport Commission is adding that as a claim. And essentially what that is the Minnesota Department of Transportation Office of Aeronautics reimburses the city, or the Airport Commission rather, for monies that have been expended for the airport runway construction improvements. And so this is an amount that was received by them, and in order to get the money back into the city funds and the county funds, the Airport Commission is outside of their meeting authorizing that reimbursement back to the city and the county. So this is showing the city making a payment as the fiscal agent for the Airport Commission to the city and to the county, so we get reimbursed this. And so these are monies that have already been spent by the city and the county to pay for contractor costs for work out at the airport.
Thank you. Does that explain, Joe?
Absolutely.
All right. Any other questions or concerns on the payments of claims? All right, hearing none, I'll call the question.
Aye.
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 And I'll vote yes. Motion carries. 4 for the motion, 0 against the motion. Next, we're at audience. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the City Council for something that's not on the agenda? It is on the agenda, yes. I will allow people to talk. We'll allow 2 minutes for people to talk on the agenda. All right, if we have nothing under public forum, there is an opportunity at the end of the meeting to also bring stuff up to the council. Next, we'll go to old business. We have a resolution considering the appointment of Brian Briggs to fill the vacancy left for the councilor at large, left vacant due to the resignation of Councilor Nelson. Chair would entertain a motion to adopt the resolution.
So moved.
Out of order.
I so move.
We have a motion by Councillor Buller. Do we have a second?
Second.
I'll second.
Do we have a second by Councillor Deitch? Discussion? We did bring this forth at our special city council meeting last Thursday. You can see in the minutes how we came to this decision. You're out of order. You're not speaking in the meeting unless being called upon. Thank you. As it is in our August 13th, 2020 special emergency city council meeting, Mayor Droba explained that when the candidates were interviewed to fill the position of at-large on October 2019, the top three candidates were Chelsea Nelson, Brian Briggs, and Mike Holden. Mayor Droba explained that the City Council previously discussed the appointment of a candidate for Councillor at Large to the seat if the race was uncontested. Mayor Droba explained that both Mike Holden and Pete Kaler have filed for the position of Councillor at Large. The Council had previously discussed that if more than one candidate filed, they would look to a previous City Councillor to fill the vacancy. Due to that fact, Brian Briggs, a previous city councillor, was one of the top three candidates interviewed. Mayor Droba said he had reached out to him to see if he would still be interested in filling the position through the end of the year. Councillor Buller stated he agreed to appoint Brian Briggs to fill the council vacancy based on the past discussion of other and current election circumstances. Councillor Deitch concurred that with Mike Holden running for the councillor at large, it would give him an unfair advantage to appoint him, and agreed that with the appointment of Brian Briggs. Councillor Kraus agreed that his past experience serving on City Council with Brian Briggs was positive, and he would serve as a great interim councillor. So that is how we got to this position. So the chair, if there's no other discussion, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a point of reference on the draft resolution that we included in the packet materials for you to act on today. In the now therefore be it resolved, it acknowledges that Brian Briggs had served as a former councillor in the East Ward and councillor at large, and I found out after the packet was distributed on Friday that he actually also served as the West Ward councillor for a couple of years. So if the council moves forward with this, I'll make a modification to resolution to include that as well.
Fair enough. So we have a motion and a second to adopt the resolution to make Brian Briggs the interim city councillor through the end of 2020. I would call the question.
Aye.
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 And I will vote yes. Motion carries 4-0. So then the next item on the agenda is to administer the oath of office for Councillor Briggs.
Here, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I know you've never done this before. I, Brian Briggs, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and of the state of Minnesota, and faithfully, and to the best of my ability, discharge the duties of Councillor at Large in and for the city of International Falls during my continuance in office. Congratulations. Take your seat.
I see you already brought your plaque. Your name.
Saving the city money again.
Welcome back.
Welcome back, Brian. Thank you. It's probably going to be your shortest stint.
Yeah.
All right. The next item on the old business is the status of the Vacation Commission's report on damages or assessments for petition to vacate 18-foot alley in Block 4, Fransen's Addition. City Attorney.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor and Council, the Commission met previously and then again earlier today, so they could, with regard to each property, determine the damages and benefits and I think the council has a copy of that addendum, and they found a benefit to the portion of the property owned by North Porter Investments to be $29,030. With regard to the other three property owners that touched on the alley, they found that there was no benefit and no damages, and that is their report. And now the council needs to determine if it wants to move forward with the alley vacation, and if so, if it wishes to assess the North Border Investments portion of the property, the $29,030 benefit.
Okay. Thank you. City Administrator, do you have anything to add to that?
I do not.
Okay. So then we will go on to item number 3, resolution, Vacation Commission's report on damages and or assessments for petition to vacate 18-foot alley in Block 4, Franson's Addition, and order to vacate. Chair would entertain a motion to adopt that resolution. Or I'm sorry, I'm not going to make that. You have 3 options. You have 3 options to move forward as the resolution calls for. We can confirm their findings, we can annul, or we can send back for more work to be done. So we can handle this 2 different ways. We can either at this time have a discussion on how we want to handle this, or I will take a motion to move forward, and then we can take public comment.
Mr. Mayor?
Please.
Okay, I would like to note that I am not comfortable on voting on this tonight. The agenda that went out to the public and that was in the Daily Journal did not have this on there. It's my understanding that it didn't. So I don't necessarily know that for us to put it on the last second is reasonable and prudent if we're making a decision tonight. Are we making a decision tonight?
It would be the goal of the council to make a decision. The only reason it was not on the agenda is because we had not gotten the addendum from the Vacation Commission. We had the special meeting last week, which this laid over for voting this evening. We did not publish in the daily or in the paper because we have not been publishing any of our agendas in the paper. It's been on our city website. Based off of the position of where we've been, I would think it would be prudent for us to vote on it this evening. We've all known from last week that that's what we were going to be doing this evening. Unless I'm mistaken, that was how I believed we were going to be moving forward. Councilor
for some reason, I got nothing.
Okay. Okay. Thoughts, please.
I will make a motion if you're looking for a motion.
Well, I'm looking for a motion to either move forward or discussion at this point.
I would make a motion to annul.
Okay. We have a motion to annul. Do we have a second? Do we have a second? Do we have a second? Your motion dies for lack of a second. So then the chair would entertain another motion at this time.
I'll move for discussion.
Okay, we have a motion to confirm. Is that your motion to confirm? We have a motion to confirm the alley vacations report. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by Councilor Buller. Discussion. Well, first, I'm going to open the floor up to audience. Each one of you guys will have 2 minutes to speak, and then the council will have discussion on that afterwards. So if you do come forward, please come forward, speak into the microphone, and you'll have 2 minutes to speak, and we'll go that route.
I was just wondering if you could turn the volume up on these people a little. hear these people very well, or I can't. I don't know about the rest of them.
Okay. Betty, can we turn up the audio in? Okay. All right, so anybody from the audience want to address the council on the alley vacation? Please, Mr. Briggs.
I happen to live at
Please state your name and your address.
Derek Briggs, 1527 First Avenue West. So I am going to be right across the street from where this is going to be vacated and a new building built, from my understanding. And for me, it's going to affect me because with their lights, I'm not even going to need lights in my house. There's going to be a lot more traffic on First Avenue. Are they putting in a high pressure diesel system for tractor trailers? And if they are they putting in parking spots for them? Because if they are, I'm going to have to listen to the trucks all night, so I'll never be able to sleep. So my question is if they're going to do something like that, I'm going to lose value on my property. Pretty much nobody would ever buy my property, my house, because you'd never be able to sleep. And like I said, it'll be lit up from their lights like crazy. So those are a lot of my concerns. And if I lose value on my property, who's going to take care of that? Because they want to put up a new gas station. And then also, I'm not going to be able to sleep. You know, I'm a 100% disabled veteran. I have enough trouble as it is. But the last thing I would need is the extra traffic out on First Avenue. And plus tractor trailers spending the night, running all night. Plus the extra traffic of the kids with the trucks and the dual exhausts and everything else. I have a lot of concerns with that. And I hope you guys will take that into consideration. As you know, right away, if they do that, I'm going to lose half the value of my house, you know.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I just want to reiterate the concerns that you have is the light pollution, the high pressure lines, and the traffic on First Avenue. Those are the three big concerns that you have?
Yeah, it'll be the noise and it'll be the lighting and the extra traffic.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else want to address the council? Please, Mr. Lenham.
Mr. Mayor and councilors, we had heard throughout the day today that this vote wasn't going to take place today. Was there a last minute change, or did we just have bad information?
The vote was always expected for today. There was an issue with the alley vacation report as came back from the city attorney. Once the city attorney reached out to the city administrator, we were able to get the alley vacation committee to meet. They did meet this morning. They updated the information to resolve the issues that were in the original text, and that's how we got to this point this evening.
We did have copies of the plan, and I believe we had talked with Joe briefly about this too, Joe Kraus. And there are things on the plan that could not move forward in Minnesota. So I'm just curious as to why they have a beer cave and liquor flex on their plan. If that couldn't be put in Minnesota, as you have to have a separate entrance, and they'd have to have a liquor license. So I'm just curious as to why, or what plans are you actually going to have a developer's agreement with if that isn't the store that they could build? And there's no doubt on the plan, all the trucks have to exit on First Avenue, and the truck parking, that's a universal sign for truck parking on that. on that print. And Councilor Deitch, did you have a letter from one of your constituents?
I do not. I was told it was turned into Administrator Anderson.
Okay. It was one of Mr. Briggs' neighbors. There was a letter that was turned in that he wanted you to be aware of and or possibly read.
Betty, did you have something?
They dropped it off and it was put in Counselor Deitch's mailbox at about 2 p.m. today.
Okay, I didn't check my mailbox, but if maybe she's running to get it. Anyway, the gentleman in question did call me and stated he was going to write a letter. He lives right across the street from where the new holiday is going to be, and he was concerned with the same issues as others are with the lights, the trucks, the traffic, the value of his home. He built a brand new home a couple years ago, and he's still in the process of finishing it. And his concerns were the same as Mr. Briggs here, that his value would go down to just about nothing because nobody wants to buy a new home looking at the back of a diesel station.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to address the council in regards to the alley vacation?
Hello, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, this is Janelle Stevens.
I'm sorry.
And our address is 1614 First Avenue. And I have the same concerns. And where I'm at, there's more houses with a lot of little children. And if their trucks are going to be driving up and down the street, somebody's going to get hurt. Right now, the detour is driving in front of our house, and I am not happy. The kids have been running up and down. I've been calling the police to get it more watched. And if the trucks go through, someone's going to get hurt.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else want to?
And like I said, we have the same concerns. The value of our house, we're trying to fix it up. No one's going to want to buy it. I just don't understand why they pick in that spot. You had where the old holiday was, that car wash that they have down there where there is no residential. And that would actually fix that problem down there. They could take that block.
Okay. Anything else?
Do you have anything else?
All right. Anybody else want to bring something to the attention of the council in regards to that? Please.
Jace Baldwin, 721 229th. I just wanted to address the concerns of Mr. Briggs and I believe Mrs. Stevens there. Fortunately, the property that they're next to is zoned commercially. So, when they made that purchase, I think that's of the understanding that there could potentially be development there commercially. Also, I guess I'm just kind of curious where these trucks parking on this lot came from or how that was discussed.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Is there any other points that you'd like to make? All right. Thank you.
Matt Corbett's 506 Shorewood. It's right on your plans. Yeah, there's 7 spots for truck parking.
How long are they?
I don't know. It's universal sign when they're parked at an angle. That's truck parking. We've got all the time. We own the only over-the-road trucking company in Coochie County, so we're very familiar with how trucks.
Please address the council, not the audience.
Sorry.
Yep.
Okay. We're very familiar with commercial truck car parking because that's what our business is. We travel all over the country. I put 700,000 miles on myself the last 6 years. And when we go into a new, smaller town, we have a lot of players deliveries. When we're coming into a town, the first thing we look for is high flow pumps and truck parking. And they've got both at that location. Universal symbol is at an angle. The other issue that the lady on the phone raised is that First Avenue is only a 4-ton road. And both exits for the trucks exit off onto First Avenue. I don't know how it's going to be addressed. because they can't legally even drive on that. Mr. Kraus even acknowledged that today, that DOT officer could be sitting there and every single one's going to get a ticket if he wants to write an overweight ticket.
Well, and with that being said, I think that that's an advantage to the plan. They can't go on that road. They can't pull out into that side. So I think that is an advantage whether trucks are in there parking or not. They can't go on First Avenue.
How are they going to get out?
I'm not. Kelly, could you answer that question for us, please?
Well, I think the biggest question is the plans that they've submitted are basically a proposed design of the plan. We still control anything that happens as far as egress and ingress over that site. I mean, future plans, we can make those directional tools change with the plans to that end. We don't have a plan, we don't have anything in place. To answer the questions on the universal parking, I have to answer them honestly. You're probably right as far as that goes, but the plans are spaced for vehicles of oversized. They're not talking just vehicles of trucks, they're talking about boats.
Sure. Oh, no, absolutely. I can agree with that.
That is the universal sign for multiple parking. So the point is, when you're coming in there, the directional flow for the truck traffic, I have to argue, is to come off of 53, go back on 15, and back on the highway. So that does answer some of the questions.
If they have a trailer on, which most of the trucks coming through from Penner, from Bison, or from Hulver, whoever, they can't make that turn.
Can't make the corner, we can't make the turn on First Avenue.
Okay.
Not in that way in both that way. It's not designed for that. You have to exactly right about the transfer of the road. I understand the concerns of the people of that area, the residential homes, but it is zoned commercial.
Are you sure it's zoned correctly? Because it's not zoned for commercial truck parking. It's zoned C1B. It should be C2B.
I wouldn't disagree with that. There's no truck parking anywhere in the residential area in the city of International Falls. We have many people that violate that at this time.
I agree.
Both the area with trucks. Trucks are not supposed to be in a residential area except for drop off and delivery only. That's in our ordinance.
So if we're not voting on the plans that Mr. Kraus talked about the first day on the July 27th initial, if we're not voting on these plans that were presented to us, what are you guys voting on?
We're voting on an alley vacation.
No, I understand that, but Mr. Kraus said he voted on the site plans that were presented to you on July 27th at that meeting. If the site plans are changing, then
ultimately the goal of this board is we have a proposed project, which is a Holiday gas station or a Circle K. Mm-hmm. But right now, we are voting on whether we vacate the alley or not. Ultimately, if we do vacate the alley, the actual plans will come in, and they still have to get, correct me if I'm wrong, we still have to have council approval to move forward with that, or we have input on what we'd like to see happen there. Is that correct, Kelly?
Actually, it would be approved by zoning to make sure that they meet all the compliances, answering the questions that they're talking about. Truck parking would not be allowed, and they're totally correct there.
Mm-hmm.
Zoning would not allow that in that area. And they will have to make compliances with the building codes and the zoning codes which are set forth in the city.
So ultimately, what our goal is right here is we're voting on whether we vacate the alley. Behind this vote, obviously we've gotten a ton of information from Holiday and Circle K. We've gotten that information that's come in on their proposed building. With that being said, it is still has to be, a permit has to be filed, a permit has to be, and then it'll be moved forward from there.
Councillor Kraus, were you under the impression on July 27th that you were voting on the site plans that were presented in front of you at that day?
It was my impression that was what they were planning to put on, yes. I would agree with that. But in light of what Mayor Droba just said, it sounds to me, and Mayor Droba and Mr. Myers, you can correct me if I'm wrong, we would still have to approve any changes and approve a site plan moving forward?
Yes, the site plan would have to be approved. What they've laid out is a conceptual plan of what they're proposing to do with it. As far as the council making a decision of all someone's going to build a building, I don't believe that's correct. I believe that would be done by the zoning and building department of the city, which I would be looking at. They have to meet those requirements. So I answer the questions, don't mean to loop around, but if I talk about liquor cabinets and stuff, they can't have a liquor license in there. We don't have any to give to them. It's not going to be a cabinet or a separate entity. So I think we're jumping to conclusions on a lot of this stuff because we have to decide on the site plan after we get the project. But you got to remember, if we do not vacate this alley, there is no project. Just so you know that. It's not big enough. The site cannot support that type of construction. And it's not just Circle A, it would be for any development of that mass capacity. We built too much within a box within the city limits already. We need to have larger lots in order to build bigger things. That's just the way it is now. We need parking. You have to show oversized parking. You have to show parking for vehicles. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of sites like that in the city.
Thank you.
Councillor Briggs, do you think that a billion-dollar company that's had a year and a half to plan this could have sent the site plans that work on that piece of property? Or do you think they should just send us dummy ones that we can change later?
I have a problem with the site plan is what I looked at.
Okay.
Definitely. And the question I have, I really don't have a problem vacating the alley as long as somebody in this room can guarantee me that I have an opportunity to turn down a site plan.
Do you think they should have sent the correct ones here, though, for this, process we've been in?
I thought we were going to have one today. I was in on Friday. I thought that they were sending one that we were going to have for today.
Okay. Mayor Drova, last Tuesday you told me that there were 13 businesses on the original petition that had switched their position.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me which one those are so I can check them off my list?
I would rather not tell you. I can tell you that you did name one of them by name when you and I did talk, and they were the last one that you said that you got redone.
Okay.
So I did. I went and talked to the businesses that signed that, and they had informed me that they did not have the accurate information until they heard Holiday Circle K's position at that meeting. And when I talked to them, they did not feel that they wanted to stop the progress of the thing because they were misled in hearing that there was going to be a beer. There was going to be beer and alcohol being sold. There was going to be sports equipment sold on the site, and that was not the case. The one person did come back to me and talked about the high flow, but no, the people that I spoke to, they were not. And I know that you've said that you went and talked to all of them and you had them re-sign the petition. So I don't know. People tell you one thing and they tell me something else.
Do you think that them signing their name to something might be more, more hard, or I don't know how you want to phrase it, but more important than putting their name out there versus just some hearsay on the phone or at coffee? I mean, if they're going to write their name down, I would think that's a little more.
Well, that's your position.
Well, I mean, you told Mr. Buller and Mr. Deach that they had changed their position. And that's just hearsay. We've got names that said, no, we're still against this.
Fair enough.
Okay. That's really all I have to say. I was concerned that of the site plan, if you will. Now I'm concerned that what you guys voted on isn't even what's going there. So how does the public know what they're supposed to respond to or what they're not supposed to respond to? We were also told today that you're not voting, so I'm sure there's people that didn't show up because of that.
I can't. We were voting this evening. From the time we got the information 7 days ago, and tonight's meeting, we were to vote on that information. There was a time since Friday that we did not know if we were going to be able to have the Alley Vacation Commission meet before this meeting. However, they were able to meet. It did get back to the city attorney. The city attorney did review the documents, and it did get to this meeting. So that is why it's before us at this time.
Okay. Mr. Mayor?
Please.
I would like to point out that the agenda that I was emailed said that we weren't voting on it. The agenda that is in my hand that my wife picked up this afternoon said we weren't voting on it, so that information came from me, and I will stand by it. It was my understanding we were not voting today. I do not have an updated version of the agenda that you guys do. Unfortunately, I've got 8 broken bones in my foot and a bunch of pins and can't be at the meeting due to surgery quarantine, but I still don't have the updated agenda that we voted on at the beginning of this meeting. It's not in my inbox. So that information came from me, and I will stand by it.
Okay. Mayor, please.
Just a couple comments to make a clarification and so we understand the process. So, as you pointed out, the decision before the City Council is to vacate the alley or not to vacate the alley based on whether it's in the public interest to do that. Now, this particular future property owner has been good enough to provide concept plans to give the council and the public an idea about what's being proposed on the site so that you understand the purpose for the petition to vacate the alley. Now, based on what's been discussed here tonight between the public and amongst the council, I wanted to draw your attention to the fact that the second item on the agenda after the proposed resolution to approve the Vacation Commission's report on the damages and assessment and also the order to vacate would be considering an action to approve a developer's agreement, and a draft developer's agreement has been included in the packet. If you don't want to do that, or if you want to modify that, there's an opportunity to do that. And I would just suggest that if you were to take action on the resolution to vacate, you could also do that with the condition that an acceptable developer's agreement be entered into, and in that developer's agreement, put the kinds of conditions that some of you have concerns about regarding the specific site approvals. And if you want to have that review, you could put that in the developer's agreement. But the building inspector's comments that this is a commercial property and that any plans that are submitted to him that are in an acceptable format and meet all of our building code requirements and our zoning code requirements can be an over-the-counter permit issued by the building inspections department. And it doesn't need additional planning commission review and approval or city council approval. But if that's something that you want, I think you can make that a condition to the development agreement, and then we can work through, that would give you an opportunity to have some additional review authority over the size of the parking spaces, location of the parking spaces, landscaping, and the developer's agreement already has standards about the site plan, landscaping, and those types of things included in the report or in the development agreement. But if you want to make the final building permit approval, that could be a provision that's added to the developer's agreement if you choose to do that. And so I just wanted to make that known so that you would have an opportunity, and then that would be at a public meeting so that you could go over the specifics about what you wanted to put in there to make sure that it's satisfactory to the city council and presumably satisfactory to more of the people in the adjacent area. So I just wanted to make that clear to the council.
Thank you.
So, City Administrator, because we can't do this is the only way we can do it, right? So far as the developer's agreement?
That was
as long as we can be specific and be able to vote on it so that we can address the concerns of the people that just brought up, I'd be okay with the vacation.
I think that's an avenue that the City Council had put on when you first approved moving forward with the vacation process, is that you would do that subject to there being a development agreement. And there's one other one that escapes my mind.
The easement on the alley or the sewer.
Precisely. So the easement was another condition to the approval, and that's been included in the developer's agreement. The city attorney just needs to draft a separate easement that would be in recordable form at the county, but that's part of the developer's agreement. So So what I'm saying is that the developer's agreement, which is something that the council imposed from the date, I don't remember what the date was, if it was June 27th or whenever we started this process, can be a part of the development agreement, and then you could meet again to give final approval of the final plans and specifications that would be submitted to our office for approval. And they've made a good effort at providing the building elevation drawings, a floor plan. The site plan is fairly detailed and very instructive. And it sounds like some of the people have some concerns about what's included on that floor plan regarding the quote-unquote liquor cabinet. I would point out that there's no liquor ordinances that can be, or licenses that can be issued in the city without the city council's approval. So you also have some review and approval authority through the licensing of any liquor licenses that might be requested.
Okay. Anybody else want to address the city council?
May I, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, please.
Hi, this is Trisha Heibel with the Chamber. I'm just merely here for process clarification, so I appreciate what Administrator Anderson was just bringing to the table. My thing, or hesitancy or questioning, if I may, is that this is private development. I mean, there are portions of what they are asking for that there is city participation into their bringing this development to there, but I'm just curious to the extent, I mean, is this the city tradition? Is this the city precedent set? Is this the city process to be getting into dictating parking slot sizes on private development happening in the city? So there's things like this. There was some discussion about the potential new hotel going in up the road and people worried. You know, I understand the noise of tractor trailer parking, but city ordinances also dictate what roads people can be on, where parking isn't allowed. And if the city is joining, for instance, Voyageurs National Park with their Dark Sky Initiative, you know, one of the things you might be discussing is the type of lighting that you're asking businesses to place on their properties that are keeping them just dark sky sensitive and are not that obtrusive then, and things to neighbors. But I would just, I guess if appropriate, if I may, is to just caution the council that decisions here are universal to any and all development and not just the specifics or the particulars of this project and the reaction to it, because precedent then is what we are announcing and saying how we're handling all future developments as well.
Thank you. Anyone else have anything to bring to the council? Both of you two have already spoke. Sure. Dave, would you like to unmute yourself and speak?
Can you hear me, Mr. Mayor?
Definitely can. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Just a clarification that the angled parking along the south border is meant for vehicles with trailers, pickup trucks, boats, the motorhomes, snowmobile trailers. That's what those parking spots are designed for. We had at the meeting a few weeks ago, question came from, I believe, the council wondering about high-speed diesel, and we've understood that the city trucks and front-end loaders, snowplows, trucks and front-end loaders, obviously have quite large saddle tanks, and the response to that was, we understand that it's very frustrating for the drivers to wait for the diesel pumps to fill their tanks. It's more efficient to use a high-speed diesel to get them filled up quicker and in and out and back on the road. And so high-speed diesel was something we were looking at specifically to service those types of trucks to get them back out on the roadway. The idea was not to entice semi-trucks into the area. So hopefully that answers a couple of the questions that have come up with regards to that.
Dave, can I ask you one question then? One of the concerns that we've had from residents, you've addressed the high pressure. How about the traffic coming out on First Avenue, specifically semi-traffic?
Again, we're not, the idea wasn't for semis. We're looking at boats with, or trailer trucks and cars with trailers, be they boat trailers or snowmobile trailers, having a way to get out through the First Avenue area. And so I don't see a terrible issue with that, but just wanted to, again, explain what those parking spots were for.
Okay, and the light pollution has came up a couple of, and I don't know if you had heard the comment just before by our chamber president Tricia Heibel. The City of International Falls has been working with the Voyageurs National Park for the Dark Sky Initiative. When you guys set up your lighting, would it be possible to work something through with lighting to not have any lights that pollute outside of your area and shine up, to try to make it a more conducive place to be able to see the night sky? Is that something that you guys would be able to work with us on to get lighting with our building and zoning official?
Certainly we can. We typically use a zero cutoff lighting, that nothing that hangs down and throws lighting off the site, and we can certainly work with the city and follow the city's code with regard to lighting.
Okay, thank you. Do you have anything else you'd like to address?
Nothing at this time, no.
Thank you. Oh, yeah, Councilor Briggs has a question for you.
What kind of buffer are you going to put on the backside that would basically hide some of the activity from the people that live along First Avenue there?
Certainly we do landscaping, and we can look at enhancing landscaping. A big part of the houses, or the building is quite wide, and that in itself is quite a blocking from the area of the fueling the vehicles from the fueling islands. But we can certainly work with the city to put in landscaping along First Avenue that would be beneficial to the houses across the street.
Any other questions, Brian?
Well, part of a vacation process is basically, public safety and the well-being of the people in the neighborhood in the city. I just want to make sure that we can address, if we okay the vacation, I want to be able to, in the developer's agreement, to make sure that we're going to mitigate the issues that were brought up by these people in the room. And if I have that opportunity to be able to do that, I can really move forward.
Okay. Anybody else like to address the council in regards to the alley vacation?
I'd like to also address some other issues.
Can you lean in so they can hear you?
The chamber director talked about, how it is for moving forward. If you look at Thursday night's paper, the editorial also talked about Voyage Forward and trying to move forward in this community. And, this gas station has been there since 1952. I suspect that most people in this room haven't been around as long as that gas station has. And when they moved from by Northern Lumber to where they moved to now, nobody made a big deal about it then. And I would, people are saying, well, it's going to hurt local business and everything else. Well, if they've been here for almost, 60 plus years, I would say they're a local business. And I would also question people out there that are saying it's going to hurt people. Well, right now we have 10 gas stations. I see when this project's done, we're still going to have 10 gas stations. Basically, you're taking a gas station and moving it across the street and down 3 blocks. Now, I don't see anything wrong with that as long as you can mitigate that you're not hurting the neighbors so far as light, noise, and the traffic. Then I'm okay with it.
One of the concerns that you just brought up that has been negated from Mr. Lenham is he does plan on operating his facility after the move. So I just want to make sure that that
And
is...
that's fine, you know, there's 10 now, there was 11.
Yep.
And they talk about, well, locally owned or local business. Well, out of the 10 gas stations you have right now, only 3 are locally owned. You know, so if this community is going to think that you want everything locally owned, you need to take a look around and see how many businesses aren't locally owned. And to discount them and take them out of the picture, what are you going to have left in International Falls? The first thing that's going to go is the mill, then goes Menards, and a whole lot of other businesses. To take and turn down somebody that's local, that took advantage of an opportunity that anybody in this room or anybody in this town could have took advantage of and done the same thing that they did, you know, it's wrong. I hear that everybody bashing the Baldwins. I'm sorry. That's wrong. They took an opportunity. They weren't the first ones to take advantage of having a building torn down. So you need to think about that. I don't want semi-traffic coming down 53 either, but, you know, we're spending how many $1 million to fix up 53, and we're going to take it from a 5-lane to a 3-lane. So I'm concerned about semi-traffic coming down there because that's a safety concern. So I really don't want it there, and I'm hoping that we can make this project so that it's not going to invite the semi-traffic.
Okay. Well, I think this is a good point. We hadn't had any other public conversations, so...
And I got into this at the last minute, I'm sorry, but I tried to do as much homework and try and get ready for this as much as I could.
So at this point, I'll bring the council back in. We've heard public comment on the project, and I'd like to hear from our city council members before we make a vote. We'll start with Leon.
I represent the East Ward, and what I'm hearing from most of the people that have been calling me from the East Ward, they're against this. There's petitions out there that have been signed by people from my ward, and as I'm saying, I'm representing my ward, that are 100% against it. And I know if I had a house across the street from this project, I would not be happy. And I would ask each one of you the same thing. Would you want this development across from your property? And in all honesty, you would probably say no. And we're not here just to satisfy our own whims. We were elected by the people to represent the people and do as they like. I realize that we want progress in the cities and that part of our job is encouraging progress. But we also have a responsibility to represent our people. And if they're saying no, we should be voting no.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Brian, are you going to use?
I'm done.
Okay. Councilor Kraus?
Again, I guess my only question is, with this vote, all we are voting is for the vacation. We are not approving a site plan. We're not approving any use. We're just approving that the lot's going to get bigger. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And we'll still have an opportunity to potentially help tweak the site plan if that, if in fact a gas station were to go on the property?
I want to verify that with the city administrator.
Yes, if your action is to approve the resolution subject to review authority in the development agreement to allow you to have the final review of the final plans, absolutely.
Okay. Does that
we would need an amendment to the motion.
No, the next motion would be for the developers agreement, correct, Ken?
Yes, that's the next item on the agenda.
That's the next item on the agenda.
Okay, yeah, I don't have that agenda, so.
I feel more comfortable with it with Kelly letting us know that there are ordinances that need to be gone by that I wasn't aware of either. No trucks. That was one of the big concerns that people have contacted me on, and I guess I just feel more comfortable with that decision being made now. Thank you.
Okay, and Here's my thoughts on this. I've done a lot of research, and I did meet with, I met with Matt, I've met with Mr. Lenham. I've talked to people casually about the project, and one of the things I did is I didn't try to give my opinion. What I did is asked, how do you feel about the alley vacation and the holiday project? And it was pretty interesting. A vast majority of the people were for the project, with the exception of the people that live in that general area. And that's one of the things that can kill a project, is you have, not in my backyard, we need progress, we need to move forward, our community needs things, but I don't want it in my backyard, I don't want it to be next to my house. We've had other issues that have came up to the city council that we had to have discussions about, and projects die because people don't want things near their homes, and I get that. And you asked, would I personally want it if it was in my backyard? Personally, no, I wouldn't, but I would understand, given the fact that we're up here to look at the entire city as a whole, not a specific ward or an area. We're here for the city of International Falls. One of the things that I got the last time I went to a League of Minnesota Cities meeting, not last year because they were canceled because of COVID, but the year before, they had a guest speaker. And one of the things that they discussed is the reasons that small towns never grow. Number 4, which was discussed in detail, is growth is the devil. When city leaders are not keen on growth, staying small is not hard to do. Your city will not grow. Some people drawn to governing positions are not visionaries and believe that change is something to fear and not encourage. Once a no-growth reputation is born, which I think we all believe International Falls has that philosophy, which I think we've all tried to kill. That is not who we are. We want to grow. We want to be better. We want to see a vision of International Falls in 20 years differently than what it is today. It is perceived that the local authorities have policies that oppose growth and will quickly move on to greener pastures. They'll go somewhere else. If they're not going to invest in our community, they're going to invest in someone else's community. Nothing will kill future growth opportunities more completely than a well-known city that has a no-growth attitude. Since I got on city council, I've always heard the stories. I've never had any proof to it, but I've always heard the stories about how International Falls turned this person away and we turned somebody else away. This is the first time I've ever sat on the council and we're actually having a real discussion about turning somebody away. When we had the hotel project come up, there were people that came in on Pleasant Avenue and they were concerned on, we have some concerns on them being there. We're okay with the project, but we have concerns. And that's what we heard today, is the concerns on what this project is. When Tim Hortons came in, we only have 2 local coffee shops in International Falls, the Coffee Landing and Stewart's Espresso Lane. Neither one of them were too terribly concerned. I didn't see anybody in this room opposed to that project on a vacated lot. I didn't see anyone too terribly concerned about when we talk about growth with getting a hotel or something else coming into town. And legitimately, I think we're looking at moving one business to another place and giving an opportunity to go to the other side. I appreciate the letter that was in the journal today. I read it just before I came up here. It's the last thing I printed off. The Chamber wrote a letter in today's paper. I wish everyone would have had a chance to see it, but it just got printed today. And it talks about the City of International Falls and businesses between locally owned and locally operated, and how we shouldn't be turning anybody away at this time. And then the Chamber of Commerce of International Falls, their whole board of trustees, signed that letter. It's frustrating. We need growth in our community. We haven't even discussed the tax implications of what this is. The net tax capacity of International Falls with this growth could potentially lower people's taxes. And I know the other side of the coin is then when we lose the next business or the next business, we're not going to have that. We're going to have vacant lots all over the building, all over the city. The reality is if we don't try to grow, if we don't try to take the next step forward as a community, we've already taken a step to stop it. So I, for one, am for the alley vacation. I completely understand with the concerns that the council has on how we need to make sure that we have a developer's agreement that addresses the issues that we have with the light pollution, the traffic, the truck parking, noise issues, and the high pressure hoses. Those issues are something we have to do as a council. If we can't do it in a developer's agreement, then we come up with ordinances that say you can't have this happen here or whatever. We are here for the community, is what you said, the residents, and we have to get past the NIMBY, not in my backyard. Because if everything's in our backyard, we're going to have nothing. So I am 100% moving forward for the alley vacation. I don't see how we as a community how we can tell somebody not to come into our community, or for that matter, one of the other discussions that we've had here today is where they should go. Business gets to pick where they want to go. They made a purchase agreement with the Baldwins, and I echo what Councillor Briggs had said. The Baldwins took a risk. We all can take risks in this world. It could have not worked out for them. They could have been stuck with that property for years, maybe didn't have someone looking at buying it, but they took a risk, and now it sounds like they're going to get a reward out of it. Not only are they going to get a reward, it sounds like the city's going to get a new gas station. When's the last time we had a new gas station in International Falls? We've had a couple remodeled. We've had a couple that have came forward, but we haven't had a new one in a long time. I'm for growth. I want to see this project move forward. Anybody else have anything to say on the alley vacation?
Yes, I want to. Can I comment on what you said?
Sure. State your name for the record.
This is Janelle Stevens, and I am for the community and growth. How many people is it employing? Is that growth? You are talking more about you want to build a community, build more jobs. I don't understand. I just heard you say that this community needs a new gas station. This community needs more work and the opportunities. I didn't say I wasn't against Holiday. I just said I'm concerned about the residential part because it's not in my backyard. But there is a lot of little children in my area. That's what I'm concerned about. And now growth. What is your idea of growth? My idea of growth is getting bigger businesses in here so that you can employ more than just 10 people. I'm not talking about the parking. My husband and I both have different sleeping patterns. To hear the trucks all night, that's my concern.
And I think
I probably will set my house up for sale if it goes in. And it's not that I don't want the business to come in. I just think that that's not the right property to do it.
And I think that
and I'm sorry that the Baldwins bought that, and then this is the first offer. But if there's other businesses that we could get in here, Baldwins maybe get a better offer with somebody else that wants to build something that's a little bit more for the area.
I appreciate your comments, and I think we are concerned about the safety on that area. That is something we're definitely concerned on moving forward. All right. So we have a motion and a second to move forward with the alley vacation. Chair would call the question.
No.
Aye.
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 And I'll vote yes. Motion carries 4-1. All right, next we have on the agenda, we have the information on the alley vacation developers agreement and easement. Ken, can you walk us through and tell us how we can update this to the concerns that have been voiced this evening?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So I have prepared a draft development agreement and easement, and it has some standard language and identifies the property to be developed in the first portion of it, identifies a prescribed or a proposed easement that will be retained over the existing alley right-of-way that is essentially where Lot 12 and 11 meet in the block, and south to 16th Street there'll be an easement retained by the city. The purpose for that easement is for the city to access and maintain a new manhole structure that'll be constructed by the developer within the alley, and then we can maintain the existing sanitary sewer line that runs south from that new manhole structure into 16th Street. So that's included in here. On page 2, it talks about developer obligations, and those are listed A through J. And I don't know that I want to read through all those, but if you want me to, I can. They're fairly standard, and below that, on page 2 of 5, about midway down or 2/3 of the way down, is a discussion of the drainage and utility easement, where we agree that there'll be a easement reserved onto the city for ingress, egress, maintenance, repair, removal, enlargement, replacement of any sewer or water lines that the city might have in there, as well as any private utility, gas mains, lines, electric cables, communication cables, and any other lines that might need to be located in that alley right away. And whether those are owned by the city or the public utility, we are allowed to have those in that place, and that's described on the bottom of page 2. On page 3, there's a default provision, a disclosure of notices to just send notices back and forth between the city and the developer. It indicates that time is of the essence in the development agreement. I do want to point out before I forget that this agreement will be signed between the City of International Falls and Northern Border Investments, but it's written in a way that if Northern Borders Investments sells the property, in this case to Circle K or Holiday, any of the terms of this development agreement transfer over to any successors or assigns for this property. So when they sell the property, the provisions of this development agreement run with the property, and in this case, Circle K, Holiday have to comply with the same terms. And then I talked about on the bottom of page 3, it talks about permits, a sign plan, a landscaping plan requirement, building materials have to be upgraded and fully comply with the permitting requirements that the city has and the building code requirements. So those are all included within that those provisions. Permits through the PCA if those are necessary for disturbing more than an acre of property. Department of Health for any licensure or food preparation that would be required in the building. Those are required to be met. I've identified some site plans and indicated that all parking, driveways, loading, and internal traffic circulation areas shall be hard surface with bituminous, which is pavement, blacktop, concrete, or other suitable materials to meet the city's standards. There'll be sufficient space for snow storage on the site and drainage controls. No Class 5 gravel will be allowed except for rock surfaces, which might be necessary as part of the landscaping plan. So all that's included as part of the requirements. There is a standard in item F on the middle of page 4 that there's a performance and payment bonds that the developer will have to provide in the amount of $250,000 performance bond and a $250,000 payment bond that would be required of them, and it would secure the city or be guaranteed that they comply with all the terms of this development agreement, and that's the security provisions. And again, they can pay a company for those bonds. It doesn't mean that they have to give us $500,000, but they can pay somebody else to provide those bonds as security for making sure that the development agreement standards are met. It does indicate that the development agreement is contingent upon approval by the City Council of the City of International Falls, and that the city will record the document so that it's always of record at the county recorder's office as necessary. Now, the standard that we talked about earlier about potentially requiring final site plan approval being required can be included in this area here, so that the city retains the right for the City Council retains the right for final review and approval of the site plan, and that could be added as a provision on this page. Again, the rest is the developer holds the city harmless from any damage that might occur out here, and then there's a signature page. So it's fairly straightforward development agreement. And again, if you want to add a provision for final city council approval of the final plans, it should be included on page 4 of 5. And anything else you think might be appropriate.
Okay. So the chair would entertain a motion to accept the developer's agreement. As I understand, and you can not accept this as a addition to it, but the chair would entertain a motion to accept the developer's agreement with the number 4 added on page 4 of 5. The city council must approve all final plans for property improvement. Anyone interested in making that motion?
I would make that motion, but I would not want to approve any final plans until they've been approved by our building.
I would make that assumption that they're going to go through Kelly first, not us.
Yeah, no, I just make sure that all the codes are met, everything's there, and we can actually see what's address the issues that we just heard tonight.
So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Councilor Briggs. Discussion? City Attorney, do you have any concerns with this developer's agreement with that addition?
Well, I'm actually not sure you need the addition because I think if you look at under the additional terms and contingencies on page 3, the city has approval. Building plans, landscaping plans, site plans. It says on D, all building and site improvements are subject to meeting and fully complying with all plan review and permitting requirements. City of International Falls, Minnesota. Any other, I guess all it would. I think that may already be included in there. Unless you want to broaden the discretion requirement for the city, you could probably add some language to give the city final control. Although, again, I call your attention to the issues raised by Tricia on behalf of the chamber and how detailed as a city are we going to want to be approving every little aspect of developers' plans so I think it's up to the council. The development agreement that Mr. Anderson put together is very detailed, very appropriate. I think it protects the city. You can certainly make it more protective if you choose to. But again, I'm not sure that the council, if it meets all of the requirements that we have for our building codes and ordinances, I'm not sure the city council wants to be in a position where they're micromanaging everybody's plans that are coming in here with new business proposals or new building proposals.
I appreciate that. So my thought on that is I think we're moving forward, and I think that what you just mentioned about the city administrator being writing it to hold the city harmless and having the city's interests covered, I think is very correct. I think the concern that we want to move forward with is to make sure that the safety and the concerns of the neighbors are addressed. I agree with having the city council approve the final plans on this because of the information that has been out. I want to make sure that we can address the concerns that the community has had. We are moving forward with the project, but we want everyone to know that we are we do care about the residents that do live there and how to handle this moving forward. So I appreciate your comments, City Attorney. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question.
Aye.
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 And I'll vote yes. Motion carries 5-0. Next, we'll go to removing from the table the removal of a member from the City Beach Advisory Committee. Chair would entertain a motion to remove that from the table.
So moved.
We have a motion by Councillor Briggs. Do we have a second?
Second.
I'll second.
We have a second by Councillor Deitch. It is any discussion on removing it from the table? Hearing none, I'll call the question.
Aye.
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 And I'll vote yes. Motion carries 5-0. So now it is before us. The chair would entertain a motion to remove Laura Manka from the City Beach Advisory Committee. We have to have a motion on the floor.
For discussion, I'll do so.
Okay, so we have a motion from Councillor Deitch. Do we have a second?
I'll second for discussion.
We have a second by Councillor Kraus. All right. The floor is yours. 2 minutes to speak if you'd like. Yep.
Right. Well, I just want to say, since the August 3rd City Council meeting when this issue was addressed, that we did have a City Beach meeting August 5th at City Beach. City Administrator was in charge of the meeting. Those present were myself, Bill Mason, Doug Johnson. Also, Tim Ringehofer was present just because he was sitting on the bench as a bystander watching his young child in the water. And also, Tony Corpy was in attendance because I had invited her to the meeting and she came to the meeting. I told her, welcome to the City Beach meeting. City Administrator led the meeting and we talked about some playground equipment. I showed what I had brought to the table from Robin Bjorkquist, and we also talked about where it should be placed. We also talked about some other issues that had been brought up at the City Beach because the camp hosts had pulled out for a week prior because they took a job somewhere else, and there was no replacement for the camp hosts at that time until the Spries came to replace the former camp hosts. Also, the lifeguards have been very few. Most of them have been working 11 to 6. Because of COVID, there has not been any training, which was brought up by Mr. Mason, who's in charge of the lifeguards. So a lot of the evenings when the City Beach is still open until 8 o'clock in the evening, there's no lifeguards. I was there at one point at the City Beach because I took my kayak out and then went swimming, and a few people had their dogs there. The first rule at City Beach is no pets allowed. I only asked the people to leash their pets, but they did not want to do that. We did have an altercation, and there were tourists there that said, this is a lovely beach. Thank you for the beach. Thank you for all that you've done for this city. We really like this beach and enjoy it. This person stood up because these people were going to have an altercation with me. I said, that's fine, I'll call the police. I did that. I called the police, and the county sheriff came out to address the situation. I don't know what took place. That was between the sheriff and these people that would not leash their pet. Because again, on the first rule of City Beach, on the lifeguard stand, it says no pets. We also had a discussion about Rainier, because Rainier allows pets. Rainier Beach allows pets and no leash law in the city of Rainier. This is City Beach, however. We also talked about the rocks where it says keep off. Ted Brokaw was supposed to repaint it. It didn't take place. Ted Brokaw was on vacation. Ted Brokaw, due to COVID, had lack of city workers because of COVID. As a City Beach Committee member, I went out there and talked to the camp host about repainting the rocks. Oh, please go ahead and do that because we had all kinds of people on the rocks just the other night. It was awful, she said. So anyway, we had a few more discussions, whatever we spoke about, and we had a little break. So I said, Tony, as long as we're all here and I'm addressing the City Beach Committee, I apologize to you. Yeah, I was wrong in what I do, but you push my anger button, and I did the wrong thing. I apologize. Tony Corpy went into a little bashing discussion. I don't know, the city administrator was there. Something about being on the rocks. I have my 14, 15-year-olds. They can be on the rocks. My opinion, however, is that 14, 15-year-olds need to start obeying the law. They're going to be drivers. If the stop sign says stop, it's okay if you don't stop, apparently. She also said, well, Dick Koneman doesn't have trespassing. No trespassing sign posted on his property that has 4 feet high grass, old Jeeps with broken glass, broken metal, a disaster area. But we allow our children to go on there because it says no it doesn't say no trespassing. So according to Tony Corpy, it's okay. It's okay for anybody to go on anybody else's property because it's not posted no trespassing.
All right, your 2 minutes is up.
Okay, thank you.
Any discussion on this? I think we've all had an opportunity to see the posts that were put out. And please.
Yes, here I am, the devil's advocate all the time.
Yep.
I'm always the black sheep, but that's okay.
That's fine.
We all have tempers at times. I have a temper. I say things I shouldn't say. In this case, they wrote them. On the handouts that I have seen, it seemed like most of the obscene wording came from other people than the person we have here. Yes, she did engage, but looking at this, I can't say that she should be removed from the City Beach Council. If we look back, the other day, I came into a meeting that I didn't know was happening, and I got upset. And sometimes your emotions just get away from you when you feel something is not right. Maybe you're not right to do it. Maybe I wasn't right to do it. Maybe she wasn't right to do it. But we're human. The apologies were made. I think they should be accepted, and I think the council should let her remain in her position.
Okay. Councilor Briggs, your thoughts? None? Councilor Kraus?
Mr. Mayor, thank you. As much as I don't agree with the views that were expressed in the posts, and I did read all 200 and some odd comments, I have to agree with Mr. Deitch that maybe things got out of hand. And I'd also like to point out that I don't believe we have a policy that explicitly says that this type of behavior is punishable. So I fear that by punishing an individual for a policy that we don't have is in poor taste. That's just my opinion on the matter.
Councilor Buller?
I have to agree with Joey on this too, with the policy not in place, and also with Laura doing or making the apology and everything. I think maybe she probably learned, but we've learned from this too that we didn't have a policy in place, and that's what's on the agenda. So I think I would agree with Leon.
Okay. Yeah, please.
I don't condone this at all.
Right.
Comments and everything. And people can make mistakes, but people have to realize when you're sitting up here and when you're sitting on a committee, you're representing the city, and you have to learn to control your temper. And you can't, you don't hear people in the legislature and other places doing things like this. I can give her another chance, but she has to understand we can't condone that kind of behavior. I'm going to try like that so that I never get myself in that position, and I don't think I ever would. And I want you to realize that you can't let that happen again. You have to get control. You're representing the city when you're on a committee with the city. So I would hope that you've learned from that and that we can move forward. And they're right, we don't have a policy. We need to get the policy. But we also, I think we need to have all of our committee members basically should sign a code of conduct so that they all understand going forward what's expected of them as a member of a committee or on the council or anything else. I just signed a code of conduct as a city council member. So I think committee members should be doing the same thing.
All great points. And the nice thing is you know, I know I have asked for a code of conduct policy and a handbook for all of our boards and commissions as far back as 4 years while Bob was still here. I think you were on the council when I pushed for a code of conduct for stuff. So we can take this as a positive. If we don't remove anyone, I do notice that today on our agenda we have a code of conduct policy for advisory boards, committees, commissions, and a social media policy, which is both things that we've been pushing to get through. It's just a shame that we ended up having to have a discussion before we had the policies in place. With that being said, I will call the question on the removal of a committee member.
No.
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 And I will vote no as well. Motion fails. Thank you. Next, we have new business. My papers got all mixed up. The first item on new business is to approve the mayor's appointment to the Library Board of Trustees. And that is recommended by Diane. And I'm missing it out of my packet. And that is Heather Weaver. Chair would entertain a motion to appoint Heather Weaver to the Library Board of Trustees, filling Ted Saxton's vacant term, ending on December 31st, 2020.
So moved.
So moved.
We have a motion by Councillor Briggs.
Second.
We have a second by Councillor Kraus. Any discussion? Call the question.
Aye.
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 And I'll vote yes. Motion carries 5-0. Next is to approve the appointment of Counselor to the vacancy on the Human Resources Committee and Budget and Finance Committee. Budget and Finance automatically, just because you're a city councilor, but the Human Resources Committee, I would request the chair to be Brian Briggs. Chair would entertain a motion to approve. We have a motion by Councillor Kraus. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Councillor Deitch. Discussion. Call the question.
Aye.
Abstain.
Aye.
Aye.
And I will vote yes. Motion carries. 4 for the motion, 1 abstention. Next, we have a resolution approving the application for exempt permit for the Bucks for Safety process to conduct a raffle on November 11th at PCA.
So moved.
We have a motion by Councillor Briggs. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Councillor Buller. Discussion? Call the question.
Aye.
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 And I'll vote yes. Motion carries 5-0. Next, we have to consider the proposals from NLFX Professional and Small Town Tech for audio. City Administrator.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. We had sent out a request for proposal to get professional services assistance to help upgrade the audio-visual system here in the council chambers. We have gone through this exercise in past years, I think as recently as February, but we just upgraded the audio portion, and the city engaged Small Town Tech to do that work last February. This proposal is to really provide telecommunications and teleconferencing services and capabilities in the council chambers. Obviously, this is a necessity and more important given the coronavirus and the remote meetings that we're all having with Zoom, WebEx, GoToMeetings, and other technologies. And so it's a kind of a universal system that will allow us to do that and facilitate that, hopefully with improved audio and for sure enhanced video capabilities so that the public can see what you're seeing here in the council chambers. So in addition to that, we'll be able to, well, I guess so we've got 2 proposals that we're responding to our request for proposals. One of them was from Small Town Tech, which is located here locally in International Falls. The other is NLFX Professional. Both of these firms had proposed in the past, and I would say that, in my view, the NLFX proposal was more responsive to our request for proposal because it included a document camera as well as a camera that would be mounted on the ceiling facing down and allow us to view in real time and pointing large documents such as plats, certificates of survey, some of the building plans that we talked about tonight with Circle K. Some of that could be viewed from a camera up above with a full set 22 by 36 inch plans, and you can see that, and somebody in real time can point to that, point out different things, and look at that. So that was one feature, I believe, that was included in the NLFX proposal that was not included in the Small Town Tech proposal. I did send a message out to the proposer, got a response back from Eric, who's here tonight from Small Town Tech, and he indicated that for a couple $100 fee, we could include a scanner where we could scan those documents and then move them into the laptop computer to present via the camera or the TV systems that would be in the council chambers, as well as people could view remotely. But I find that, at least as I understand it, a little bit less convenient as having the document camera and the ceiling mount camera. So the difference in prices were in the roughly $44,000 with a not to exceed fee of $46,000 for NLFX, and the proposal for Small Town Tech was $38,434, and Eric offered that they could provide the scanner for an additional $200 cost if that's something that we wanted to include. So we're looking for council action, and then my final comment would be is that this expense would be something that would be eligible for the city to use CARES Act monies, which were federal dollars that were appropriated to the states, and in turn the state had awarded monies specifically to cities and all counties in the state, and the city received about $462,000 in those monies. So we would be using those CARES Act dollars to pay for these costs. One of the conditions to that program was that the costs had to be paid for on or before November 15th. Otherwise, we have to turn the monies back to the county, and by the end of the year, the county has to turn them back to the state. So both of these proposals had indicated that because of supply chain problems, there might be a problem in trying to get all the materials that soon, but nonetheless, that's what the proposal is, and that's what we need to do.
Okay, so the chair would entertain a motion for one of the two proposals.
I'll make a motion to accept NLFX.
We have a motion to approve NLFX. Do we have a second? Do we have a second? Do we have a second?
Yes.
We have a second from Councilor Kraus. Discussion.
Mr. Mayor.
Please.
I just want to say that as much as I want to spend money locally, it feels to me like a certain portion of what we were asking for was ignored. And I do believe that having the camera up top for charts and bigger things, street planning and other things, is going to be very beneficial. And I also like the idea of being able to put paper up in real time. And that's just my opinion on the matter.
Okay. Any other discussion?
I agree with Mr. Kraus, and listening to Administrator Anderson here, he clarified quite a bit, and I agree, a camera on the ceiling would be great.
Okay. Please. If you want to come up and speak in the microphone so we can...
Eric Kulig here from Small Town Tech.
Yep.
I'd like to address, thank you for the opportunity. We actually have two top-notch cameras in this system, and when I received a point of clarification from the city administrator, I think it sounded to us like it was just like a document scanner, but we've got two these are state-of-the-art cameras that would be for like a larger document. So I don't think that the differentiation that the administrator had just explained, I'm not sure that is really a differentiator between our two systems. The system is currently used by our supplier in Minneapolis, in the Twin Cities, and they have salespeople all over the country, and they do just this. And there's presets to those cameras, and could be, used for the document on top of that. So I'm not sure that was clear to us, or if I articulated that in the report, in our proposal clearly, but I just wanted to state that, and I thank you for the opportunity.
Which cameras are you saying would be able to do the overhead for the...
Both of them, they're the same, and they were just to get two angles, but they are not fixed in a place. It'd be a placement kind of a thing. One could be here and be used. They're a very quick kind of a pan tilt zoom. So if I came to you'd push a touchscreen button there at your right next to your desk.
Turn around.
It would come to me. Yeah, and if you wanted to have it straight down, so it's a multi-purpose camera. So I just wanted I just appreciate being able to explain that part of that. If it for a big document, if you chose to put it here, but there are two very very powerful cameras in this system. So.
Okay, and then I guess I know we have a motion on the floor for the other system. I just have a question on the tablets.
Yes.
If we were to get more tablets, would it be the same $335 to order more tablets?
Yeah, I'm not sure those are. That's actually like a common price off of just a common Amazon kind of distributor kind of thing. So I'm not sure if I don't know where there's a price point of if there's 8 or you go to 10. I don't know the answer to that, unfortunately. But
all right, thank you.
Sure, thank you again.
Todd, do you have any recommendations? I know we have one on the floor right now, but do you have any recommendations?
I just had another question for Eric. Are you saying that one of your cameras could be mounted above to be kind of function as a document camera?
That is correct. Right. And we actually looked at having one camera, do function all.
Okay, because your system proposed 2 cameras, correct? Okay.
That's correct.
Okay, and I believe NLFX's system proposed 3 cameras? Okay. I think both systems would be adequate, so it's really up to the council to decide, which is most responsive to the proposal. But
okay,
like I said, both systems would definitely do the job. NLFX has a lot of experience, and you saw their references. Small town tech, everybody knows from working with them. So. Okay. I'm confident that they could make one of their cameras function, appropriate as a document camera. My only concern would be then you would be lacking another camera, out for panning and zooming to the various locations. But that could probably be rectified. So
okay,
that's my recommendation.
Thank you so much. All right, so we have a motion and a second to go with NLFX. It is the higher of the 2 bids, and that's fine, given the information that we had at the time. Any other discussion? Please.
It almost sounds to me this is like apples versus oranges. I don't think it's fair to either one. I would like to make sure that they're quoting the same exact thing.
I think what the goal of the RFP is to get us to do what we asked to be done, not specifically order specific equipment.
Okay. Then is small town tech going to be able to do what we asked? Because I'm coming in new, so I'm trying to spin up a little bit here.
Okay.
Because if they can do exactly what we asked them to do
for less money,
plus being local, it's hard for me to not go local.
Okay. Please.
It's like buying a Cadillac or a Chevy. Both do the same job, they get to the same place. If the two compare and get what we want out of it, that's why go out then.
Yep. Councilor Kraus, your thoughts?
Yeah, I will reiterate. I would much rather spend the money locally. It just, in my opinion, after reading through both proposals, it feels to me like the small town tech proposal, like we have to go back and adjust and utilize to perform a function that we asked in the proposal to be able to do. And then with the addendum of the scanner, which came in later, again, to perform a function that was asked for in the RFP. That's my only take. The NFLX proposal addressed all of the bullets on the RFP in their initial proposal and are prepared to move forward.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we have a motion and a second to go with NLFX. I will call the question.
Aye.
No?
Aye.
No.
And I'll vote no. Motion fails on a 3-2 vote. So, Chair would entertain a motion for the other proposal.
I would move for small town tech.
We have a motion for small town tech. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none, call the question.
Aye.
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 And I will vote yes. Motion carries 5-0. Next, we will be going to consider adopting a code of conduct policy for advisory boards, committees, commissions. Chair would entertain a motion for adopting that resolution.
So move.
We have a motion by Councillor Deitch. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Councillor Briggs. Almost said Nelson. We have a motion and a second on the floor. Any discussion? Hearing none, call the question.
Aye.
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 And I'll vote yes. Motion carries 5-0. Next, we have to consider the adopting of a social media policy. Chair would entertain a motion on that.
So moved.
We have a motion by Councillor Briggs.
Second.
We have a second by Councillor Buller. Discussion?
Mr. Mayor.
Please.
I just want to note before we quick speed through this that I had an opportunity to read and go through both of these, and I think they're very well written. I just want to make sure that that's out there, that we're not just speeding through.
Okay, thank you. So we have a motion and a second. I'll call the question.
Aye.
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 I'll vote yes. Motion carries 5-0. Next, we have the approve the donation agreement for Minnesota Power electric vehicle charging station and authorize signatures. City Administrator.
Quickly, Mayor, the donation agreement is a form agreement that was provided by Minnesota Power to the city. There's a proposal that they're offering to provide or construct electric vehicle charging stations. We're proposing to do it in the vicinity of City Drug on the municipal parking lot over there. And in order to do that, they've got to do some directional boring and drill a couple holes in the ground to try and extend that there. So in order to move forward with that project, they need this donation agreement approved, and it would be between Minnesota Power, which is a division of Elite, and the city. And in this, they're indicating that Minnesota Power will reimburse the city 80% of the installation costs, up to $1,500 to do that work. And we are seeing a lot more electric vehicles on the road, and we think that this is a good initiative. And as part of the proposed hotel project on the off of Memorial Drive, I believe they, at least in their initial concept plans, had actually included 5 electric vehicle charging stations in their original plans. I don't know where the project is now, but so we need to have the donation agreement approved by the city in order to move forward with that project.
Okay, Chair would entertain a motion to approve the donation. We have a motion by Councillor Briggs. We have a second already by Councillor Buller. We have a motion and a second.
Joey wanted to second it.
He missed his opportunity.
It'll be a little quicker.
All right, call the question.
Aye.
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 I'll vote yes. Motion carries 5-0. Next, petition ordinance allowing chickens as a ballot question. City Attorney.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor and Council, as I've indicated to Administrator Anderson, I think the petition that was submitted requesting that an ordinance similar to Duluth's ordinance be placed on the November election ballot. I don't think it meets the requirements established by our charter in a couple of fashions. One, there wasn't a verification under oath on each page of signatures that an individual had observed those signatures. There was a deficiency that the ward of the people signing wasn't indicated, but I think that could be overlooked because it did have their address, so we could determine on our own what the ward was. But I think it could be rectified, but each page of signatures has to be verified under oath by somebody that saw all of those signatures, and that wasn't done. Also, I would think that we would need the exact language of the ordinance that's being petitioned to be placed on the ballot. To just say something similar to Duluth's ordinance, and there wasn't, if they wanted one identical to Duluth's ordinance and then had a copy of the ordinance attached, but we need to know what ordinance they're petitioning to have placed on the ballot. So if those defects could be cured, but there's only a very short time before this would have to be submitted to meet the election deadlines. The question did arise whether or not, just without a petition, the council itself can just have put on the election ballot an initiative question with regard to an ordinance. And I thought the law on that was a little bit vague, so I got a hold of the League of Minnesota Cities and spoke today with an attorney down there, and his opinion was that the council couldn't put it on there other than as allowed by our charter. So it looks to me like it's likely too late to get anything on this next upcoming election.
Okay. One of the concerns that I specifically had with the petition, and I mentioned this to the council to begin with. I did help the individual do the petition. The biggest concern I had with the petition when it came in is you would have a block of 5 or 6 signatures, all in the same handwriting, all in the same color pen. That isn't somebody signing a petition. That's one person signing multiple lines of a petition. So that is a major concern that I did have. I do want to go on record as saying I want the people to be able to make this vote. We've had it come to City Council multiple times over. We've turned it down. We had a person that had contacted me. Their concern was that they didn't have input. They didn't have their voice heard from the City Council about the chicken ordinance. So this was a way of trying to get it on the ballot, to get it done with, so it's out of our hands as a City Council, because I'm fairly certain if this issue comes to the City Council 100 times, it's going to fail 100 times. If it goes to the people, I still believe it's going to fail in an election. However, that's people's voice. I mean, voting is the people's voice. So I'm disheartened in hearing that we can't just put it on the ballot as a city council, because this is one of the ones that has just lingered over and over and over again. I do understand the concerns that the city attorney has on this. I appreciate him saying we could overlook some of the pieces of the petition, but my biggest concern was blocks of 5 or 6 names with the same handwriting, same signatures. So
Now you know the elections can be rigged.
So I do appreciate that. I would like to hear. I would like the city attorney and/or the city administrator to contact the petitioner and let them know what the timeframes they would have to finalize this if they want to move forward. I think they have lost some time between the last council meeting when it came in and today. I mean, they've lost 2 weeks. However, I do believe that they have all the list of names. They just have to go and see those people. So I think this is something that could be rectified. But I appreciate your hard work on this, city attorney and city administrator. But if we could get with the petitioner as soon as possible so that they can have as much opportunity to get this done correctly, I would like to see that move forward.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, please.
I guess 2 questions. And I've seen this petition. So when exactly was this petition received?
2 weeks ago today.
Okay, so we're waiting 14 days to make a decision on whether or not it's legal or give them an opportunity to rectify it. I for one, feel like this needs to be on the ballot. I mean, I voted on this on my time on city council. I've voted on this issue twice. And here we are with a petition that was generated by a citizen of the city of International Falls under the guidance of the mayor of the city of International Falls. And whether the guidance is true or not, and I understand that there's charter issues and there's legal issues, but they made an attempt. They gave this to us on August 3rd. That was 14 days ago. And here we are now, kind of under the gun, because it's my understanding we have to have this done by Friday, finally kind of rendering a decision. I realize we haven't had a meeting, but I just feel like we should have told them this before to give them an opportunity to rectify it prior to this meeting. I have to say I am not very happy about this.
And Councilor Kraus, I will say this. I did speak with the petitioner, and I did tell him that I would do everything in my power to get it on the ballot, whether the petition was good or not. It's literally in the past 24 hours I've learned that we cannot do it on a ballot as a city unless it goes through the petition. I got schooled 101 on what ballot questions you can have on initiated by a city council, and I did not realize that home rule charter cities are the only ones that can put a city ordinance on there, but you have to follow your city charter's law, and our city charter says we have to have a valid petition.
Mayor,
please.
I would just say I did try and reach out to Mr. Carlson last week. I left a phone message for him. I have not heard back from him, so I don't know if he's out of town or I did try to reach out to him and talk to him about it, and so I don't know if he's lost interest in it, and I will try and reach him tonight as well.
I appreciate that. Thank you. All right. So we cannot take any action on the petition because it would not be lawful for us to do that. So we'll take that last conversation as council information. Any other business to come before the council? All right. Go to boards, committees, department heads. City administrator?
I don't have anything I want to add, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. City attorney.
Mr. Mayor and Council, only thing additional I would add is updates on our fight on blight. We have now approximately 10 property owners that have advanced to the stage of our bringing criminal complaints. That I think has resulted in action. The one where we've actually already had a hearing on, that person I think has taken steps to correct the problem, and so will not end up with a criminal conviction I do believe. And then also we have several in place that go beyond vehicles that are the buildings that would be qualify and be subject to our demolition program. And we have several of those who I think are consenting to the demolition, and we have several more that if they don't consent between now and the next council meeting, we'll be bringing orders to request that the council take steps to go to district court with those property owners. But again, Jared Baldwin's been working very hard on this, and I think there's a lot of progress being made, and I think word is spreading that the council's serious, and if they don't correct the situation, they'll end up in court with criminal charges. That's all I have.
Thank you. Department heads? Hearing none. You do have a copy of the police monthly report, your fire rescue EMS monthly report, and the blight report. We'll go to the reports of the mayor, council, committees, boards, and commissions. I don't have anything immediately this evening. Anybody else? Okay. Then we will go to audience. Anybody in the audience? We only got one.
You're it, Crystal.
All right. So with that being said, our next regular city council meeting is going to be the day after. We do have one more thing. I just want to, I'm sorry, I jumped the gun. There was one item of new business I needed to bring up that I did not have on the agenda, but it is not a game changer. The Saturday of Labor Day weekend, the 4th of July committee, when we had met with the Labor Day Assembly, had thought that we should do the fireworks on Saturday night. I still think we should do the fireworks on Saturday night. I would like to get council approval for that, for both advertising and having the fire chief be able to set that up for the Saturday of Labor Day weekend. Usually we do it at 10, but I think we could do it a little bit earlier this year because it's getting dark earlier, and it very well possibly could be a school weekend. So they're deciding that fate right now while we're here. So I was thinking if we could have the fireworks at 9 o'clock on the Saturday of Labor Day weekend. I don't have the date. September 6th? 5th. September 5th at 9 o'clock. Chair would entertain a motion to allow advertising of the celebration fireworks on the 5th at 9 p.m.
So moved.
We have a motion by Councilor Deitch. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by Councilor Kraus. Discussion? Same location, unless the chief has anything that would make sense to do it somewhere else, but. Okay, sounds good.
Me too.
And that location should allow for social distancing
Yep.
and all of
Yep.
safeguards that.
Yep. So we have a motion and a second to have the fireworks on September 5th at 9 p.m. Call the question.
Aye.
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 And I'll vote yes. Motion carries 5-0. And our next regular city council meeting will be Tuesday, September 8th. That's how I remembered the fireworks at 5:30. This meeting is adjourned.